Data log 2026, May 5th, day 66. Today is Tuesday, and normally on Tuesdays, I have my one-on-ones with my wonderful India team in Calcutta, India. These are a group of intelligence and very smart college students that I worked with in the past few years as part of my serial entrepreneurship. And today in doing my one-on-ones, it's actually a highlight because they just finished the first user experience, users requirements gathering workshop, all on their own. And in the back, that video that's playing, that's actually my one-on-one with my UX mentee, now head of user experience at Renben Tech. His name is Ochusman, and he actually facilitated and led the first user experience workshop by himself, along with the team members together. So congratulations, Ochusman, and congratulations to Renben team. I'd like to share in today's diary my kind of summary of my user experience career on the topic of user requirements or business requirements or whatever requirements you like to call it, so-called the scope of the project. First of all, there isn't a fixed way to talk about scope. People love to buy it that way because it makes people feel safe. People love to set contracts, especially in China, India, and parts of Asia. It's almost like an unfairness to the contract because this so-called 甲方乙方, right? What does 甲方乙方actually mean? Let's see. 甲方乙方 English.
甲方乙方
Party A, Party B. So Party A is the one that has the buying power, and Party B is the one trying to sell, right? And then that power dynamic is very different. And in my Microsoft decade, 10 years, that power dynamic was never that shifted. As Microsoft, we get to choose to pick the customers that we want to work with. Now, when we became a small startup, of course, you are pressured with your runway and your cash flow. Sometimes people know that. Your Party A knows that, and they take disadvantage and unfairness towards you. That's part of my IT consulting startup experience. Now, both of them, I call it IT prostitution because the whole business is just to please your customer. Now, on that topic of scope, there isn't a fixed scope of service when it comes to IT service or / IT prostitution. I don't know if this word can actually be shared online, but anyways, because you basically managing customer expectations, and the way that we figure out in Microsoft is called user participatory design. Let users take ownership of their own scope. Now, scope, or so-called list of requirements, can never be fixed, and it's basic fundamental human-to-human communication. There is a concept called the cone of uncertainty, and it goes like this, right? So in the beginning, when you are communicating about requirements, just like AI communicating about, you communicate with AI, you can go with verbal communication, a login screen. Everybody agrees, yes, we need a login screen. However, everybody has a visually different detail in their mind about that particular requirement with the same verbal words. So then you have to narrow down the cone of uncertainty with visual communication. That's where you put out prototype and design, and then finally you build the software. And back then, until you have the software, then it's a scope. So you can't fix a scope before with just words. It's just in contractual terms, it makes you feel safe or makes it a controllable budget. Now, Scope does not have any units. It's a very abstract idea. Again, scope is a very abstract idea. It's basic human communication, verbal communication plus visual communication. And it's a very abstract idea. There is no unit. It's not a kilograms of scope or 5 centimeters of scope. It's just a list of words. And until you have it, you won't able to define it. Unless you would say, I just want the exact duplicate of another software, then you will ask, why would you need to build it again, right? So scope is an abstract idea. It does not have any units. IT consulting is basically to manage customer expectations and to work with customers to within the budget and timeline. And the way that we figured out how to do it is through user participatory design. What that means is you are building the software as engineers before. Now, this is before AI Singularity, so this is the memoir thing. I used to say before any of these scope discussions, I say there are two ways to build customized software. One is we teach the users how to code, and then you build the software in your mind, right? Because the scope is only clear in your individual's mind. Now, if they have a team of people, then they have to collaborate. Or we teach our software engineers to understand how you work, to understand your job. And at that time, it was easier to actually teach software engineers how to understand the requirements. Now with AI, it's actually the first option. It gives everybody ability to build their own software. Now, even that, I think still after the AI Singularity, even people can use AI to build tools. You still need to participate in the discussion with your team to and in the design of the software and testing and feedback of the software. So we used to do it is create a workshop where you bring all the stakeholders together, including the users, including the product team, including the tech team, and including the IT department, all in one room, because everybody have their assumptions of what the other parties think about the product. And you don't want to be the owl, or you'll be the messenger to pass around critical opinions or practical opinions, right? So you don't want to be there to defend the users on their dislike of the software, because nobody likes to have their baby called ugly when you create it. So you want the users there to directly share their feedback, positive and negative, to the product team, and the product team should listen and keep an open mind to get it. So in that workshop, we have users of different roles share their pain points, their happy moments, their sad moments, and things that they like and dislike and find confusing about the software. And that directly heard by the product team, and they can have some discussion to, not in defensive mode, but to understand as is what the software is. And then you map out what we call as is service blueprint, the workflow. Then we vote on the pain points. Let the users choose and prioritize where the pain points that has the most value to them if we solve them first. Once they pick those, then you can create a to-be service blueprint where we can focus the prioritized list of features we can build first. Now with AI, those things are much faster and quicker. You can have AI listen to the workshop and have it prioritized. It's very important to have the people in the same room. Otherwise, you will end up as a consultant to defend, different messages, and the product team will be like, "Are you sure you heard users correctly? Oh, there's no way they could have that. Why would they say that? Explain to me why." Users have to explain. We don't know. We are there just to understand their consensus, right? So build a consensus that bridge the understanding between the different stakeholders and parties within a team and a company, and even externally with their users, with their customers, because everybody tend to end up in silos and tunnel visioned, and that's what a benefit of an external consultant could be. So in the beginning, when you get the requirements, you in the workshop put the people together, they all participate in the workshop, they prioritize the features together, the requirements and pain points, and agree with each other. That's the first participatory participation. The second participatory participation is to have the users to collaborate and work on the designing of the solution together. Now with AI, the team have told me day one, they got the requirements. Day two, they get cloud to design the Figma pages already. That's amazing. It used to take a week after at least 1 or 2 weeks for humans to do. Even me doing on paper prototype takes at least a week. And now, you can get into solutioning. The way is to move, narrow down the cone of uncertainty, like verbal communication, big variance of understanding, because the same words could mean differently in each person's mind. Visual communication, now you get getting the visual thing out of it, and everybody can say, oh, now I know what it is. And it's also good because you are now getting into solutioning of the pain points that people have shared with you. And folks love hope. People love hope. So when they see that you are solutioning with a visual communication, with a visual design, the prototype, people are happy, like, oh, maybe this is becoming a real thing. This could be actually getting somewhere, and all that should be, before it was in weeks time. Now with AI, it's in days time, which is amazing tech advancement. Now with visual communication, you get the designs, and then you have the users, again, second participation, to participate in giving feedback to the design. And even when I did a paper, folks can have a pen and paper, and then they draw the rectangles and the buttons and such. Now with AI, maybe that's a bit different interaction, and even if you do it remotely, users could then talk to your design agent and update the design you originally create, perhaps. So that's the second participation is participate in the design of the solution, the actual UI design, the visual design. The third participation is after the software or the app is built or the tool is built, let the users test it iteratively and incrementally. Don't wait for like the whole solution to be done. Then people be like, oh, that's a lot, right? People can only focus on 1 hour at a time, and most of the users have their full-time jobs. So you will spend 1 hour or 2 hours per week, 1 hour testing the design of the next feature, 1 hour testing the software, the tool that was built in the previous week or previous day, now with AI. Oh, maybe that's too much. Anyways, you see what I mean. The design comes before you build the software, and then after you build the software, the what we call usability testing comes to test the tool after. The prototype design testing comes before you build it. Software usability testing comes after you build it. And then that's a third participation for users to give feedback. And they focus on 1 hour at a time, very deep into a list of no more than 10 functions and features, no more than 10 tasks. And then they finish it, and then they can use a real world scenario, real case scenario in their job, and then give you the feedback. And in that whole process, before it was weeks, now maybe days, that users were able to communicate their idea verbally, right? First, participatory design. First, participation. Second, see their verbal communication requirements, problems, pain points turn into solutioning through design, prototype testing. And then see the actual tool and software being built and use it in hand. And they believe now this is becoming real. All of that, they are part of it, and they are the main owner of that process. And now the users take ownership of this customized tool, either being previous software or now agents. And then they will not be arguing to say that this is not what I want, because that's what they wanted. They participated in it. So participatory design and testing of the software or the customized tool or agents are very important. Let the users have the tools to build the software and the tools that they want. I think AI is making that happening now. And me as, maybe this is a similar concept as a forward deployed engineer or something like that nowadays. Essentially, just have technologists working with field experts and build the solution together and have it to be part of the ownership of the people who will use it. Because I used to say that when we build the software, as engineers, it does not impact our lives. It impacts the lives of the people who will use it in their daily life. So they should have the major decision power and participate in how they can shape their own lives, work lives mainly, or daily lives. So that's it. That's the user experience. Talking about scope, it should not be versus. If you don't do it this way, it very easily becomes party A and party B trying to do scope creep, trying to get users, trying to versus like, oh, this is what we meant by login page. No, that's we already got the login page. No, 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 we want more of these features on login page. How can you not think about this way? There you go. Now, in order to manage timeline, we used to have story points and such, but now with AI, maybe it's not. You just let the agents run and build the software in a way. But yeah, it's a three impossible lines, right? You have your scope, you have your timeline, you have your budget. If you fix your timeline and budget, which means capacity and people, then you have to have variable scope. And it is important to have variable scope because our ideas change. Innovation requires um, learning by doing. So you have to start building, start doing something. And then while you are doing it, your original idea, your original so-called scope must change. It'll be pretty, darn bad if you stick with the old ideas when you know they are wrong, when you are learning by doing it. So don't fixate it on so-called the scope, but fixate yourself as users and the impacts that the tool that you're building on the people who will use it. That's human-centered design, human-centered engineering, and human-centered AI. Humans as whole system. And when you build such things, the impacts will be gone through not just directly with the people who are using it, but indirectly with people who might be impacted by the changes, such as Uber, for example, right? It changes how our transportation works. So human-centered design, engineering, and AI in 人本 tech.